Today, we're going to talk about the blueprint of a business. You know, that single decision every single founder has to make that pretty much sets the stage for everything else, from personal risk to global ambition. And that's choosing the right legal structure. We're going to follow the journey from just a spark of an idea all the way to a potential titan of industry. Let's dive in.
So, picture this. You've got it. The big idea. The one that could change everything. What's the absolute first thing you do? Now, you might be thinking, build a prototype or buy a domain name, but actually, the real first step, the one that matters most, is figuring out the legal framework. It's about choosing a home for your business.
See, just like a person needs a house, a business idea needs a legal structure to even exist out in the real world. This structure is what lets it do business, sign contracts, hire people, and most importantly, protect its founders as it starts to grow. Okay, let's imagine our business in its infancy. It's just starting out in a garage somewhere with one person and that one brilliant idea. Now, the easiest path, the path of least resistance, is to go with the simplest structures. But as you're about to see, simple doesn't always mean safe. This is basically the default setting for anyone going it alone. It's called a sole proprietorship, and it's incredibly easy to start. In fact, if you start selling something by yourself, boom, you've pretty much created one without even trying. You are the business, and the business is you. You get all the profits, which sounds great, but there's a huge catch in that phrase, no legal distinction. What it really means is, if a customer sues your business, they're not just suing a company, they are suing you personally. But what if you bring a friend on board, a co-founder, to share the load? Well, all of a sudden, you've gone from a solo act to a duo. You've just created what's called a partnership. Now you're sharing decisions, you're splitting profits, and you're dividing up the work. It's a really natural next step, right? But you're also sharing something else, all of the risk. And this right here is the big, scary part of these simple setups. Because there is zero legal separation between you and the business. If that business gets into debt or gets sued, your personal assets, we're talking your car, your house, your savings account, are all fair game. The business's problems are legally and financially your problems. So as the business gets a little bigger, maybe it hires its first employee or it takes out a small loan, that level of personal risk just becomes totally unsustainable. It is time to build a legal shield, a wall that separates your personal life from your business. Let's see how that's done. And this is the magic concept right here, limited liability. This creates what lawyers often call a corporate veil. It's basically a legal barrier that says the business is its own entity, its own person, totally separate from its owners. Now, if the business goes under, creditors can only go after the business's assets, not yours. Your risk is now limited only to what you've put into the company. And that, my friends, is a total game changer. So how do you get one of these shields? Well, the two most popular ways are the LLC, that's a limited liability company, and the good old corporation. Now, both of them give you that critical limited liability. The real differences come down to taxes and how complicated they are. With an LLC, the profits just pass through to the owners and you pay taxes on your personal tax return. A C corporation, though, gets taxed on its profits, and then you, the owner, get taxed again on any money you take out. It's called double taxation. It's definitely more complex, but a corporation is the gold standard if your big plan is to raise a ton of money from outside investors. And speaking of raising money, as our little garage startup gets more and more successful, it's going to face another massive decision. Does it stay private, funded by a small group of people, or does it go for the big leagues? Does it go public? A private company is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's owned privately. Think of a local family business or a startup with a few venture capitalists. You keep tight control, and there's way less red tape. A public company, on the other hand, sells little pieces of itself, shares, to anyone and everyone on a stock exchange. This lets it raise just enormous amounts of cash, but it comes at a price, intense scrutiny, and a whole lot of rules to follow. I love this quote because it just nails the feeling. Taking a company public, doing what's called an initial public offering or IPO, it is a monumental event. It's like launching a rocket. It changes the company forever and puts it under a microscope for the whole world to see. So what does that access to all that public money actually get you? Scale. Mind-boggling scale. Take Walmart, a classic public corporation. It employs over 2 million people. Think about that. That kind of global machine is only possible because it can raise money on the public markets. That is the incredible power of this structure. So when you boil it all down, choosing a business structure isn't just some legal paperwork you have to file.
It's more like you're embedding a specific DNA into your company right from day one. And that DNA is going to decide its future for risk, for control, and for growth. And here it is, the founder's cheat sheet. This really brings our whole journey together. You can see the trade-offs so clearly. As you move from left to right on this chart, from a sole proprietorship over to a corporation, look what happens. Your personal risk plummets from high to low. But at the same time, your absolute control as a founder goes down. And what do you get in exchange for giving up that control? Your access to capital, to money, goes way, way up. So the whole thing really comes back to one simple question. What is your ambition? Do you want to build a small, independent business that gives you a great lifestyle? Or are you swinging for the fences, trying to build the next global giant? Answering that question of ambition, well, that's the first real step, because that's what will tell you exactly what kind of home you need to build for your idea.